Let me tell you something. If you're working hard to lose weight right now and you can see the weight coming off absolutely everywhere on your body except for the belly, then I feel for you. I know how frustrated you are because I've been there. Back in 2018, long before I was a personal trainer and a nutritionist, I lost 45 pounds in 4 months. But despite all my efforts, and believe me, there was a lot of effort, absolutely nothing changed in the belly area until the final 3 weeks of my diet phase. And if you don't believe me, here are the photos to prove it. You can see the timestamps and absolutely everything. But here's the good news. You don't need to worry because in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 proven strategies so that you can lose the belly fat for good. How am I qualified to say this? Well, I have now been a personal trainer and a nutritionist for the last 5 years, and I've helped well over 100 guys to do this in that time. But I'm also pretty lean myself, as you can see right now. So I feel like I'm pretty well qualified to cover this topic. So what are we going to cover in this video? Well, I'm going to give you 1 nutrition strategy, 1 physical strategy, and 1 mindset strategy. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's start with the nutrition strategy. So if you're watching a video like this, I would imagine that you are kind of already on your weight loss journey. Now, whether you're doing that through brute force and maybe you've dropped your carbs or you're following a particular type of diet, or maybe you're doing some sort of intermittent fasting, or you're doing a calorie controlled diet, you have made some progress. But the chances are you're probably doing it a little bit wrong. Let me explain. So if you don't know, the principle of weight loss and fat loss comes down to understanding your maintenance calories and then putting yourself into a calorie deficit. Your maintenance calories is calculated by using 4 physiological factors: your age, your weight, your height, and your sex, and then adding a activity level multiplier based on how active you are day to day in your job, in your exercise, and just in your general movement as well. It's a little bit of a rough and ready equation, but it does the job for the most part. Now, when I work with my clients one-on-one, I use a much more exact formula to calculate their precise maintenance calories. But as a start point, this is going to do you absolutely fine. Once you've calculated your maintenance calories, we need to put you in what we call a caloric deficit, which is where you're consuming fewer calories than you are burning. And by doing so, you are going to be losing body fat over a period of time. Now, a lot of people have probably heard this, but where they're going wrong is they think, right, I want to lose weight. And the brain naturally goes, well, I want to lose it as fast as possible. And they put themselves in large, extreme deficits. But they also then tend to increase their activity level. So it makes the deficit even bigger. And yes, in theory, you will lose weight faster doing this. The challenge is when we actually bring this into practical application, into real life, where we have stresses, where we have bad days, where we have periods for women who are watching. And when you're trying to do this in real life, large deficits tend to go awry after a couple of weeks. So the first strategy that I'm going to give you is to create the calorie deficit, but is to create a small, sustainable calorie deficit. One that gives you energy, because ultimately we need energy to do stuff, and calories are our fuel. They are our energy. If you're putting yourself in a huge deficit, your brain is going to recognize that deficit, and your brain hates change. It loves something called homeostasis, which is very simply just staying the same. And when it starts to pick up on that change and sense it and realize it wasn't just like a one-off day, it's very clever. It starts to slow you down. It starts to make you feel lethargic. It starts to literally stop you moving as much. And I'm talking micro movements, like me moving my hands around like this right now. If I was in a big calorie deficit, I'd probably be sitting like this, just like twitching or something like that. You also want this to feel as good and as effortless as possible. And again, if you're in a large calorie deficit, it's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel effortless. And sure, you might be able to sustain that for 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks. But after a while, I guarantee you, everybody breaks. So yeah, first piece of advice, small calorie deficit. Make it sustainable, make it easy, make it as effortless as possible. But then part 2 to the nutrition strategy that I wanted to talk to you about here is managing your calories by the week rather than by the day. A lot of people will understand their maintenance calories. They'll go, okay, I'm going to create a calorie deficit. And a lot of people will create a 500 calorie deficit because they know that there are 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. So if they're in a 500 calorie deficit for each day of the week for 7 days, they're going to multiply 500 by 7. That's 3,500. They're going to lose 1 pound of fat per week. And those numbers are, they're nice on our brain. They add up. It all makes sense. And the maths is right. The science works. It's all good. But again, life, real life kicks in. Practical application of this stuff, guys. Monday is different to Thursday, is different to Saturday, is different to Sunday. What I would suggest you do is look at your calories in the context of your week rather than day to day. Don't be overly obsessive about trying to hit your 500 or your 700 or your 200, whatever the deficit is, every single day. What I would do is start every week imagining that you have a bank of calories. So let's say your maintenance calories is 2,500, okay? And you want to create a 500 calorie deficit per day so that you lose 1 pound of body fat per week. Cool. So you're going to do 2,500 minus 500 is 2,000. So your daily recommended calories so that you lose 1 pound of body fat per week is going to be 2,000. Great. But rather than focusing on trying to hit 2,000 calories every single day, which is going to get very difficult, very monotonous, very boring, very tedious, what I want you to do is multiply that 2,000 by 7. So 2,000 multiplied by 7 days in the week, that's 14,000. Now what I want you to do is go into every single Monday, every single week, with 14,000 calories in the bank. And I want you to sit down, not for long, 5-10 minutes. You can do this before you start work, in your lunch break, in the evening, on Sunday, whatever it might be. And you can just plan your week out. Now, of course, your plan might not be perfect because, again, stuff happens. But if you know that you're going out on Thursday evening for date night with the missus, or you've got beers with the boys on Saturday, or you're going to be a bit hungover on Sunday, whatever it might be, you can plan low calorie days and high calorie days. Now, how you do this is completely up to you. It doesn't really matter. A lot of my clients will purposely plan low calorie days at the start of the week and then have higher calorie days banked at the back end of the week when life tends to get a little bit more sociable. But you don't have to build it around your social life. It could just be built around hard days at work, stressful days, days where you've got harder workouts, anything that works for you really. But I think zooming out a little bit, and rather than obsessing on the calories every single day and looking at it through the lens of the week, gives you a lot more control and it gives you a lot more freedom. So that is strategy number 1. That's the nutrition strategy. Small calorie deficit and looking at your calories in the context of your week rather than day to day. Now let's talk about the physical strategy. So the physical strategy that I want to talk to you about is the difference between walking and running. We all know that exercise, whether it's cardiovascular like running or cycling, or resistance training like lifting weights, is extremely beneficial for overall health. And absolutely, it can benefit you when it comes to fat loss. But you need to have a little bit of perspective here, because even if you were training like Arnold Schwarzenegger and you were in the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours per session, that would only add up to 7% of your total week. Equally, people don't realize this, but the number of calories that you burn on a run is very similar to the number of calories that you burn walking the same distance. Yes, the walk is going to take you longer, but the difference in the calorie burn is almost insignificant. And I'm not making these points to put you off exercise. If you have found a particular form of exercise that you're seeing results from, you're seeing progress from, you're seeing your body composition change, and probably most importantly, you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, you can sustain it, then 100% carry on doing that. But a lot of people come into a fat loss phase, a weight loss phase, assuming that they have to do a lot of exercise, that they have to do a lot of high intensity, hard cardio. And honestly, it couldn't be further from the truth. A little bit like point 1 in the nutrition strategy that I talked you through. What we're looking for here, guys, is sustainability. What you do out of the gym, what you do outside of your runs, outside of your cardio, is going to count for a lot more than what you do in it. So again, I want to repeat the point because it's important. I'm not saying to give it up. I'm not saying, oh, well, Doug said, don't do any exercise and I'm going to lose weight. That's not what I'm saying. But what I have found is the clients I work with who lose the most weight and lose it the fastest are the ones who walk the most. These guys find a way to do 12 to 15,000 steps a day. And if that sounds daunting to you right now, I understand. But let me give you a little bit of a motivator, a little bit of a carrot to chase, which will hopefully encourage you to do more steps. These guys who are doing 12 to 15,000 steps, they're training no more than 3 times a week in the gym, 45-minute sessions. But they're losing about 1 kilo a week. Not only that, they are not really sacrificing that much when it comes to their food, when it comes to their diet. Yes, they are tracking their calories. Yes, they are conscious of what they eat, but they are not having to be incredibly restrictive. So when you add all of those things up, only having to train 3 times a week, not having to be super restrictive on your diet, suddenly walking 12 to 15,000 steps a day, while right now might seem, well, how am I going to figure that out? There's an incentive there for you to figure it out. Some of the ways these guys do this: walking the dog, playing golf, doing walking meetings where you remember what times before Zoom where you should just walk around on the phone? Bring that back, because trust me when I say this, everybody hates Zoom. Walking the commute, taking the stairs instead of lifts. And the other one that's come up recently with one of my clients is he's actually bought one of those treadmills that goes under your desk so you can walk on it whilst you are working. So you see, if you put your mind to it, there's plenty of solutions. All right, so we've covered strategy number 1, strategy number 2. Let's move on to strategy number 3, which is all around your mindset. As I said at the beginning, I know firsthand how frustrating it can be when you feel like you're doing everything and nothing is changing. But if you've got the evidence that you know how to lose 1 pound of fat, then all you need to do is rinse and repeat until you've lost all the pounds that you want. If you're having more good days than bad, just keep going. If you can see the number on the scales going down, just keep going. If you can see a difference in your progress photos, just keep going. If you can feel your clothes fitting better, just keep going. Because the point is, your frustration isn't coming from a place of not knowing how to do it. It's just not getting there as fast as you'd like to. But the reality is, you're so far ahead of the game because you know how to do this and you're on the right trajectory. You're just not in the position that you want to be yet. But honestly, what's the rush? You're doing the thing. Take pride in it. Enjoy it. You're actually earning it. You're the one doing the work. There is no secret hack or trick or process that people are guarding from you when it comes to losing belly fat relative to losing fat on any other part of your body. The fact of the matter is that we as humans cannot spot reduce our fat. We cannot choose in what order the fat comes off. Otherwise, we would all be like, well, yeah, I'd like all the fat off my belly first, please. But it just tends to be for guys that most of us will hold on to the belly fat right up until the end, right up until the last minute. And that's because the body is protecting the vital organs. That's all it is. It's nothing sinister. There's no special process or trick that you're missing out on. The hardest part is having the patience, is staying the course. But you're doing the right thing. You've got all the evidence. You're on the right trajectory. You just need to keep going. That really is it. A huge advantage you have got over so many other people is you've got an awareness of this stuff. Like, you understand calories, you understand how to lose weight. You've lost some weight, so you now have evidence and you have belief and you have certainty. So you've got knowledge, you've got belief, you've got certainty. You've got everything you need. The last piece of the puzzle is patience. So that's all you need to do now. That is the third strategy here, guys. It's having the mindset of being patient, removing the need for urgency, because unless you're about to step in the boxing ring or the UFC cage, which I doubt you are, there really is no rush. I'll say it again. You're doing the thing. Be proud of yourself. Enjoy the process. You're on the right trajectory. All you need to do now is just relax, enjoy the ride, and be patient. So yeah, those are the 3 strategies. Good luck. Bye.